Hey, welcome to Hook, the Kayak Angler's Resource. Today, we are super excited. Old Town and new. We don't get a lot of new stuff from Old Town. Stay tuned. We'll tell you what it is. JT, how are you, my friend?
Doing great. I'm excited. I'm excited for this news. I know our fans and like customers are going to be excited for this news, and let's not even make people wait. Let's just jump right in.
The industry as a whole has been waiting on this information, and we're announcing it today. 3 new kayaks that we're going to have here is going to be the Sonata MK106. We'll go into that in depth. The ePDL Pro and the 120 Pro pedal drive. So, yeah, got a chance to get them on the water, JT. They are a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think people are really familiar with the Old Town Fishing Kayak name. They're kind of just one of those standard, like true standby, always quality, like a go-to, a great pedal drive. They've revolutionized kind of almost with their hybrid ePDL, like great product, great features, stable. The fact that, like you said, you held up that new sticker. We don't get that very often, and I think people are really gonna like what they see.
Absolutely, and I think that Old Town's very calculated in their products. So they're not going to come out with just something every year just to please the masses. They really go through and make sure that it's something that is anticipated and needed or wanted, and they really make sense of it when they send them out. These 3 kayaks, I was able to get them on the water, had a lot of fun. And like you said, the best thing about it, I think, is you got the great Old Town quality. They didn't change the drive. The pedal drive is the pedal drive. Why change it if it's the best pedal drive in the market, in my opinion? So that's the same, but then everything it's wrapped in is a little different, and we're here to talk about it.
Yeah, which one do you want to start with?
Let's start off with the Sonata. So the Sonata is basically your MK106 with the addition of a power panel, which is really nicely modified into the kayak. And then you have some underglow lighting inside the kayak, which makes it super nice. So you're not getting any direct light in your eyes. And then lastly, and just very cool, is it has 4 marine speakers in it.
Yeah, we're really starting to blur the lines of
Correct.
Fishing kayaks and small boats, and I love it. Like, it's almost a little bit of trolling, and anyone who's in a fishing kayak now knows, like, the tagline and the comments you get is, just buy a boat. Well, now we are truly getting those lines blurred even more. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Integrated speakers is kind of wild.
And the Sonata is very cool. Like, we turned it on in here and turned the volume up in the store. Sounded okay. In the water, totally different sound.
That's right.
Sounded amazing. We've got some footage of that, but it sounded really good. The panel itself too is very easy to work with, very nice, all waterproof, molded in. It is a very well designed boat. It still is the classic 106 Minn Kota. Not a lot of changes to it as far as the actual hull itself, but all the additions have just made it a party. I mean, it's from, if you wanted to take this thing out, noodling or jugging catfish and just wanted some music, you could do that. If you wanted, anytime you wanted it. But I mean, it is really nice, especially if you're just tooling around. Very loud, sounds really good. And that lighting, I mean, if you're ever out at night, the lighting in this thing is so well done that you can't even really tell where the lights are. It just glows the whole deck of the boat. So very nice, and really enjoyed that kayak.
Yeah, so this kayak, I mean, just looking at it, if it's based on basically the MK106, this is still a fishing kayak too. Obviously, you wouldn't be blaring tunes if you were intense fishing because that sound's going to reverberate through the water. But having that option, this is kind of just the next step of it's got it all. And what's really cool about that and like having the lighting kit is sometimes if you're going to do that DIY after the market, you can always add whatever you want to a kayak. But, you know, and you've got to get in it. Like this all seems like it's integrated out of the box, ready to roll for you. Like
it is. You just slap a battery in and go, and it's very nice. And you know, JT, you can kind of go over some of the specs of this boat, but like I said, very similar to the MK106. It's the same hull, but why don't you tell them a little bit about what just the basic specs of the boat?
Yep, and throw it up on screen here too, and people can go along with. But it's the MK106. So this is the Sonata 106 MK, obviously. So it's 10 feet 6 inches, 37-inch width, and then you know they always list hull weights and fitted hull weights. Like so, it's 97, but that's without the motor and all the pieces. So I always just when I'm looking personally, I always look at the assembled weight. That's the weight you're probably going to be moving around, and that's 123, so a little bit heavier. But the total weight capacity, they have listed at 638 with a usable capacity of 515. So that kind of takes into account the weight of all the gear that and the motor and the batteries and all that stuff. But you know, for a shorter kayak, I'm actually kind of blown away by that. At 10.6, that anything over 500, that's really impressive.
For sure. And I had a 106. It was my first motorized kayak, and I absolutely loved it. That thing is really agile. I do like that it still comes with the deck plate, so you can cover, if you take the motor out, you can still put that plate over the hatch cover, and then you can take that thing on the river if you wanted. But yeah, both those weights are important too, because one is how much you're going to be dragging when you're taking it back and forth to the water, and then you usually take your motor and stuff separately. But yeah, it's good that Old Town gives you both those numbers. But yeah, and what are the 4 new colors on this boat in particular? What are those 4 colors, JT?
And this one I'm seeing 3. So unless there's another one, I'm seeing Cinder, Horizon, and Lava. But
that's correct.
Okay, yep. So 3 colors. But what is kind of cool, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because you're definitely more in the know, but these are unique to these new models, correct? These colors,
Absolutely.
like they're specific to these newer models, the colors that we'll list. So that's kind of cool too.
They are, and the demo that we got was in Cinder, very reminiscent of the Gray Ghost. That was just a limited color.
One of my favorites.
Me too. It's very Cinder looking, kind of ashy grays and blacks and whites, and it's a great looking color.
Yep, Horizon is a little bit more of a blue gray, and then the Lava is kind of that red and black.
Yeah, and I see this kayak being a fisherman's dream / somebody who just wants to put it in their cove and just putt around, and maybe fish, but maybe just tool around. It's great for that, just sightseeing. This is going to be one of those kayaks that just multi-use.
But I mean, how cool is this thing? Especially if you have a family, you know, I'm thinking sometimes we go out and we don't fish and we take the kids, and this would be perfect for that. I know my 2 sons would have a blast playing their Fortnite tunes in this. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And another instance is I know Jonathan that works here. You know, him and his wife will go out, and he will fish, and she will just kind of putz around and read and just hang out. And this would be a cool kayak for that. It could do both. If you want to fish for a while and then you just want to chill out a while, and that's why I said jugging, because jugging doesn't really matter. That's usually a 12-pack of whatever's cold and some nice tunes. And yeah, so it's a perfect boat for that.
Yeah, very unique. Kind of a one of a kind, once again, from Old Town, kind of stepping it up and offering something that's not out there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think that's it on the Sonata. Very cool rig. Everything else very similar.
Yeah, and check the description below, because I'll have links to the YouTube videos of the on the water footage too, and obviously I'm sharing some clips as we go along. But just check the links. There'll be way more information below if one of these piques your interest. But that's not all.
Moving on to the next one, and these are the most exciting ones to me. Reason being is this is a complete new hull design. Instead of the Sportsman PDL 120, we now have the PDL 120 Pro. The difference is, like I said, it's going to be the opposite of the Sonata, where it just added features to an existing boat. This one is completely different. You're going to have the same drive, same seat, and everything else is pretty much upgraded. It is absolutely a joy to be in. got around really good. Everything that you love about Old Town, it had, with that drive and the stability and the maneuverability, all of that. But some of the additional new features as far as riggability, as far as accessibility, have really been upgraded on this kayak.
So the PDL 120 is probably one of the more popular, just the PDL, like Sportsman PDLs are one of the most popular brands just because they are so reliable and so consistent and just a very well built. So the fact that they've kind of stepped it up one level is probably going to be really exciting to a lot of people who have experience or have been eyeing up a PDL 120. But you said it's an all new design. Do you want to go into some of the differences?
Yeah, so the hull is it's not even the same hull that it was before. So some of your main differences are going to be, the biggest one is the ability to rig. I mean, it has through holes kind of everywhere. It has kind of like the link plate. It has the plates like the new canoes and the Bonafides and everybody else is using. It actually has those as well. So you should be able to wire this thing from front to back and never have to drill a hole in the hull. Some cool features that it has is it has a universal mount on the front now. Yep. For a trolling motor, bow mount trolling motor. Yep. And it is ready to go. I mean, it's already pre-designed to put one on there. So super easy. It's just a sweet kayak.
Yeah, this would definitely be for like a little bit more hardcore fishing. I mean, I think anyone would like it. Again, when you get in Old Town and pedal it, I think anyone's going to fall in love with them with how smooth they all are. But this one is definitely just a step up for like the more dedicated anglers who have a better idea of how they're going to lay their kayak out or add accessories.
Yeah, and the biggest question that we get a lot of times on Old Town is you got your guys who buy the PDLs because they love to have the PDL. They love just to be able to get out there on it, and just they love the PDL. But they either want to get into tournaments or they want to do a little more fishing, where they actually use a trolling motor as a fishing tool. This answers that question because a lot of guys would go to autopilot, but then they wanted a pedal drive. So now the autopilot's just one or the other, or your options were one or the other. Now we did have the one objective mount and things that we could do to mount a trolling motor on the front of a PDL, either a 106 or 120. However, this boat is designed for it. So I think what you're going to get is, I think whether you're a new person to kayaking, the 120 PDL is going to be fine. But then the guys who have been in it a while, who love the platform of the 120, but want it more fishable, and want some more features that are really based on anglers, that's where the Pro is going to come in and really just turn it into just an all-inclusive unit.
Yeah, and again, the weight capacity is 565 and usable weight's 420 on it. A new hull design too. How does that work in the water then compared to the original PDL 120? You've got experience with both, so did you notice the difference?
Yeah, so being an Old Town guy, and I'm in an Autopilot 120, which is the same hull as the 120 PDL and just the regular 120. Same hull. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That hull is great. That's why they've used it so many times, I believe. This is completely new. So, of course, being an Old Town guy, my first thing was, I want to see if it's as stable, if it's as good, as the 120, and it is every bit as good, maybe a little bit better. Mainly because the one thing that I think it does have is it's a little bit of a quicker boat. I think the whole design on this one cuts water a little bit better, where the 120 used to push water just a little bit. And probably the biggest thing that everybody asks for that they put on this is internal rod storage.
Yeah, for sure. The longer I'm in the sport, being able to transport it even with the rod storage in there or it's out of the way, that's such a small thing that now I wish I had access to. So yeah, that's awesome. Great feature.
And with us being able to take kayaks out and demo them all the time, it's a feature that I loved on other kayaks. Old Town realized it as well, and put that in this kayak, and it's great. It sets really nice. It's a nice deep cockpit. So everything just fits really nice and everything's protected. So I think that was a great move by Old Town. And like I said, I think that's going to be a big selling point for guys. I know it is for me, especially if you're a river guy and like the horizontal rod storage.
For sure.
Things out of the trees, that helps with this. Or if you're a guy who, wants to put 6 rods in his black pack, he can do that and still have 4 more rods, up front, easily accessible.
I feel like you were talking to Jonathan there. Even though he's not there, he would totally have 10 rods, just to call him out.
If Jonathan had 10 rods, he'd be looking where his other 6 went. That's Jonathan. He goes out there more than prepared. So I think the 120 Pro is going to be an absolute winner with everything that you can do to it, and make it just and everybody's coming out with these boats now that are really based on riggability. This is Old Town's answer, and I think they hit it out of the park.
All right, there's one more. What do we got?
So the creme de la creme of this deal is the ePDL. Came out, great boat. It was on the Big Water / Predator platform, which is, we all know that's great, but it's big, and not everybody is a fan of that platform. Now you have the option. If you want the ePDL, you can go with, it's the same hull as the 120 Pro, but the ePDL Plus 120 Pro is going to be exactly the same thing, except now you have all the ability to have that pedal drive that you can either do pedal, you can do pedal assist, or you can just do cruise and just use the motor. And very simple. Again, if you wanted to do dual motor, you could do your pedal drive, you could throw a bow mount on the front. I always tell people, if you have a motor that is either in your pedals or on the stern, that gets you to and from where you want to go. It's propulsion. If you put a bow mount on, that's for fishability. That is a fishing tool. So you could add that to this boat and just, cover all bases. Yep. Tournament guys, you got to make sure that that's okay in whatever series that you're doing. But for the average angler, if you want to go more, the guys who are worried about being able to get out so far and being able to get all the way back, talked to a guy in Hawaii the other day. He said they do dual motor or dual propulsion, whether that be pedal motor, whatever. They have to have it because you get caught in the tides. So this is something that's going to really lend itself to a lot of anglers. No, yeah, and I can see guys using it for fishing in a cove, and you kind of wipe that cove out and you want to go to a new spot. With the cruise control, now you can set and eat your sandwich or tie on lines and get prepared for your next spot. You can do that. Pedaling, it makes it a little tough. You're stopping, doing all that. This thing is really set up to be able to be very versatile. Another really nice thing about it is with the software that's involved, they really thought about the angler. So like what we always talk about with having to be able to pedal backwards to go into reverse, where you usually have a paddle in one hand, a net in one hand and a rod in the other. So I don't want to reach down and push a button to go in reverse or change anything. All you do is pedal backwards. Even when you're in cruise control, you can be at full speed, level 5, cruising to your spot. And if you want to stop, you just give her a couple of turns backwards, stops the motor. And I thought that was very smart. And then it actually kills it where you can kind of go back into just fishing. So very user-friendly, very easy. Everything's on the console right in front of you. Super easy to put it in cruise control or just go with your levels. Very, very usable product.
Yeah, so as Travis mentioned, the specs are almost identical. The only difference would be is the usable weight capacity is at 395 instead of 420, and that's just taking into account the added battery and motor weight there. But other than that, it's built on that same 120 Pro platform. So all of the same great features with basically a motorized pedal drive.
Yeah, and that battery it's in the small hatch under the seat. So it's not even visible. You can't even see any of it anywhere. It would be hard to even tell that this thing was motorized until you actually got in it and got with it. But everything else is the same rudder, same steering. No reason to change any of that. It was all great. So they stuck with it. And like I said, awesome boat. 2 colors on that. What are those, JT?
Sierra and Storm.
Yeah,
So
both beautiful colors. One's kind of a blue, one kind of a green. And I think with being limited to those two colors, I think they know who their buyer is. Their buyer is going to be pretty serious anglers, because if you're not a serious angler, the 120 is a great kayak, the 120 PDL. But the guys who really want to get crazy with it, this Pro ePDL is going to be outstanding.
yeah, and I definitely see this. Not that this wouldn't be a good first fishing kayak, because it really would be. It'd be almost a one, you buy it once and then you're set. Like either one of the PDL Pro or the ePDL Pro, both great, like for a first kayak. But most people, I see this as you're just looking to upgrade, and then this might be one of those upgrades that allows you to grow with your accessories for years to come. It would be ready to roll for it. So this would be a purchase that you wouldn't need to turn around in another couple of years to upgrade.
Yeah, you could buy this kayak, fish with it for a season, do accessories and some changes to it, and by next season it would be a totally different kayak. I mean, it would be, you could build it out as crazy as you wanted to build it, and this thing would take every bit of it and perform absolutely excellent. If you wanted to throw, like I said, like a Minn Kota on the front and have your spot lock, it actually is set up for all of that. And I mean, this is a tournament rig or just a hardcore fishing rig. Doesn't have to be, but it's got the capabilities to really be whatever you want it to be.
They're all awesome. And like you said, Old Town does everything with intent, purpose, and takes their time to really make any changes they make, or a new launch are definitely done so with extreme planning and know-how. So these new products are, I mean, that's really awesome to see. I hope people like them as much as we did. And then honestly, look at the description below, and we'll have links to individual kind of walkthroughs and just straight up on the water footage of each of these kayaks. Since they're new, feel free to drop us comments. Well, if we don't have the answer, we'll find the answer. We'd love to hear what everyone thinks about these new Old Towns, and if they're excited for them, and anything else they want to know about them.
Yeah, if you want to take a look at one, feel free to stop by the shop here. They will be out Thursday morning, ready to go. We're going to drop them, and stop by here. We have all three here ready to see. Go to ecofishingshop.com and take a look.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, Travis.
Appreciate it. Old Town, good job. We're excited for it.
Yep, 3 new kayaks to my list for future purchases. Thank you. Thank you, Old Town.
Absolutely.